In the early 19th century, the United States was a young and ambitious nation, eager to assert its independence and expand its territory. But it was also a nation divided, with political and regional tensions simmering just beneath the surface. In the midst of this tumultuous time, a forgotten war would break out, shaping the destiny of the young republic and leaving an indelible mark on its history. The year was 1812, and the United States found itself embroiled in a conflict with its former colonial ruler, Great Britain. The war was born out of a complex web of grievances, including British impressment of American sailors, trade restrictions, and British support for Native American tribes resisting American expansion into their territories. It was a war that few on either side expected or desired, and it would become known as the Forgotten War because it has often been overshadowed by more famous conflicts like the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. As the United States declared war on June 18, 1812, it was ill-prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. The American military was small and poorly equipped, and the nation was deeply divided along partisan lines. President James Madison, who had reluctantly pushed for war, faced staunch opposition from Federalists who believed the conflict was unnecessary and misguided. In the early months of the war, American forces suffered a series of humiliating defeats. The British, with their superior naval power, blockaded American ports, strangling the young nation's economy. Native American tribes, led by the charismatic Shawnee chief Tecumseh, allied with the British and launched devastating attacks on American settlements in the Northwest Territory. One of the early turning points of the war came in 1813 at the Battle of Lake Erie. Under the command of the young and daring Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, the American fleet defeated the British Navy, gaining control of the lake and forcing the British to abandon their plans to invade the American Midwest. Perry's famous message to General William Henry Harrison after the battle, "We have met the enemy and they are ours," became a rallying cry for the American war effort. On land, General Harrison, with the support of Perry's naval victory, pushed deep into British-held territory in Canada. In the harsh winter of 1813 to 1814, Harrison's forces clashed with the British and their Native American allies in a series of brutal battles. One of the most famous of these battles was the Battle of the Thames, where Tecumseh was killed, and his confederation of tribes fell apart. The American victory at the Thames was a significant blow to the British and their Native American allies, and it opened up new opportunities for American expansion. In the East, the war was marked by a series of back-and-forth skirmishes and raids along the Canadian border. The most famous of these was the British raid on Washington, D.C., in 1814, which resulted in the burning of the White House and other government buildings. But American forces, under the leadership of General Andrew Jackson, also achieved important victories, such as the Battle of New Orleans in early 1815. The war officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Ghent on December 24, 1814. The treaty restored the pre-war status quo, with no significant territorial gains for either side. However, news of the treaty did not reach the United States until after the Battle of New Orleans, which became a symbol of American resilience and pride. The Forgotten War of 1812 had far-reaching consequences for the young United States. It strengthened American nationalism and patriotism, as the nation had stood up to the mighty British Empire and held its own. The war also had important political repercussions. The Federalist Party, which had been critical of the war and had even contemplated secession, lost credibility and influence, paving the way for the era of good feelings under President James Monroe. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of the war was the sense of national identity it helped to forge. As Francis Scott Key penned the words to what would become the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, during the bombardment of Fort McHenry in 1814, he captured the spirit of a nation that had weathered the storm of war and emerged with its flag still flying. But for all its significance, the War of 1812 remains a forgotten chapter in American history for many. Its complexities and ambiguities have made it difficult to fit neatly into the narrative of American triumph and heroism. Unlike the Revolutionary War, it did not lead to a clear-cut victory and the birth of a new nation. Unlike the Civil War, it did not bring about a decisive resolution to deep-seated conflicts. Yet, the Forgotten War of 1812 should not be overlooked or underestimated. It was a war that tested the mettle of a young nation, forged its identity, and left a lasting legacy. It was a war of courage and conflict, of triumphs and setbacks, and of the enduring spirit of a people determined to defend their hard-won independence. In the years that followed, the United States would continue to expand and grow westward across the continent, but the lessons of the War of 1812 would not be forgotten. It served as a reminder that freedom and independence are never guaranteed and must be defended with vigilance and determination. So, as we look back on the forgotten War of 1812, let us remember the sacrifices and struggles of those who fought and endured, and let us recognize the enduring importance of a conflict that helped shape the destiny of a nation. In its forgotten pages, we find the story of a young republic that faced its challenges head-on and emerged stronger and more united than ever before.